Welcome back to Wednesday night on Open Studio. How is everyone? Good? Lovely. Ooh, knocking stuff over. Still knocking stuff over. There's always stuff to be knocked over. I really need to clean up around here. Okay, where to go from here? So it could be like reverse typewriter. We finished this little section here last time. I could go up one and then over, but I think I'm going to kick out this void right above this big building here. I think that's a good way to go. Yeah, why not? Okay, so in order to do that, it's same kind of deal here. Whoa, what am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing. What am I doing? Oh, there's a big building there. Interesting. There's a big. Let's do that. So I'll show you what I got here. You guys got the reference photo anyway, but see that big building right there above this? We did this one. So I'm gonna kick out this building, I think, and then you can start to see, like we talked about last time, how whatever's going on next to this, you can't see any windows, you just see the bright spots on the roofs. So again, we're getting into that part. So this building will take a little bit of time, that little building over there will take a little bit of time, but all this other stuff is going to go pretty quick. So I think that's what we're going to find. We're going to find that this painting will pick up speed as we go. That's what I'm hoping. We never really know until we get into it. So, but we're gonna get it done. So let's see. I need this building right here. This little guy. I'm about to cut up my reference photo. I don't want to do that. No, it doesn't. I got a ton of these, but it's just a drag when I then go to try to find the reference photo, and all I find is pieces with bits cut out of them like this, which is kind of a drag. But anyway, so I can use this one. This was obviously my little blue roof cutout deal. So what are we going to do here? Let's make this building. There we go. Let's make this building kind of a different gray color, just so it stands out. I could use the gray of the background that I have, or let's see. If I put the front of the building in as this gray, and then I can use the original color as the top of the building, the roof. This goes pretty much all the way down, but you can't see it because it has that little black airbrushing fade that we did on the other ones. So we're going to include the whole thing, and then I'll put the details in after. Should really use a straight edge for this. This building is big enough for that, but I will adjust it as we go. Yeah, let's do that. This line here. So cutting with a straight edge. You can use. I prefer using metal rulers because you can't damage them. If you use a plastic ruler, you run the risk with an X-Acto knife of cutting into the ruler. It's great practice if you do what I'm about to show you with a plastic ruler. You'll develop the technique a lot faster because you'll be afraid of cutting into the ruler. Where the metal ruler you can't cut into, so you won't necessarily have the same sensibility. But the idea is this. I like to use on this really small cuts like this. I use this is just a Truller's metal ruler, and it's flat. It's completely flat. You can't see it, but yeah, there's no foam on the bottom. There's no nothing. I do have some really nice rulers like the cutting rail from Art Tool, which is made for cutting. But for small stuff, I like to have the ruler right down on the surface. So this is the part of the building I'm cutting out here. There we go. So the trick is to get your mind out of the one cut and done mentality to kind of like just cut it out. So what I do is with the knife kind of at an angle away from the blade. So this is 90 degrees to the blade, perpendicular to the ruler. The blade is 90 degrees to the ruler right now. What you want to avoid is that because it's really easy to, I'll do it right here so you can see it. So if I turn the blade as I'm cutting, and I'm doing this in an extreme, but if I'm not perfectly lined up with that blade, if I'm slightly in a little bit, that blade is going to want to drive into the ruler. It's just going to want to curve into the ruler because again, the knife acts like a rudder in the water. If I kick it out, it's going to want to, kind of move away from the ruler. So by having it kind of tilted out a little bit, I actually increase my odds here because even if it's tilted in a little bit, it isn't going to want to kind of go that way as much. So either perpendicular, exactly 90 degrees, or a little bit out is what you want. Am I still lined up? Yeah, I am. And then the next thing to do is, again, you don't want one cut and done. You just want to have a light touch with it. And if you have a nice sharp X-Acto blade, usually it doesn't take more than 3 passes to get through. And again, I'm being gentle with it so that, again, if I try to get it done in one shot, that's when you can turn the blade and cut into the ruler if you're using a plastic one. But if you're nice and gentle with it and just let the knife do what it's supposed to do and keep it lined up, you'll get that perfect little straight cut out of it, which is just what you want. Okay, so there's your cutting really small with a ruler trick. All right, so now we have this building, makes it easy to line up. And there she is. So now I'm gonna go, you guys can't see it because it's off the camera view, but I'm just lining up the top of this, the right and left sides. So I've got this lined up down here right now. So I'm going up to the top corner, which again, you can't see. And I'm aligning the left and right corners at the very top of the board. So what that does for me is now that I've got this lined up and those other 2 points, I know that's in the right spot. You also notice, I don't know if you can see it just off the bottom of the camera, but see how the little roof is in the wrong spot? I didn't line those up very well. In the end, that won't matter. I mean, you're talking like a micron difference. All right, so now let's figure out what we got going on here. I want to make this a little bit darker. I do still have black in the micron, which we'll use that, and we'll add just a drop of white to it and see what that looks like. Or let's add a few drops. Because I want this to be a little bit darker than the background, because I want to be able to see it, but I also don't want to have to, kind of keep painting it over and over again. This is what I came out with. That's the gray. So let's hope it's a little bit darker. If it's not, that's okay. I can adjust it, but this will be ideal. I do have black in there first, so let's see what it looks like. It's lighter. Do I want that? Kind of want darker. Oh, might still be, you know what? Might be the white at the bottom. There we go. Let's try this. And same as always, just nice light layers. It's really hard to see gray on gray. So you can kind of look at it at an angle and see the lighter, but it's lighter when it's wet. So you can see it going on, but then it darkens really quickly once the water evaporates. And I just moved this, didn't I? You know what? It's lighter, but I'm okay with it because I can see it. So I'm going to go with that. The other thing is, I don't want to have to do these windows twice like I have been. So we're going to do that little window trick with this as well. Again, it takes a little bit longer than just, blasting them in. But the time, the time it saves, or the time you spend doing the cutting part of it, as opposed to having to redo it, is usually the way to go. So again, if you missed this on one of the other episodes, you get to see it now because I do this all the time with all these guys. This is a ruler trick as well, the same deal, so you get to see this technique again. Now these cuts are too small to put all of them in. These windows horizontally across, they're too close together to put all the cuts in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put every other cut. And again, this just acts as a guide for me, a drawing guide, so that when I go to paint the windows in, I know exactly how many floors there are. They're already laid out. They're in the right spot. They're at the right angle. So it's just a guide. I know to put a bank of windows in between each one of these. All right, that is looking good. I don't have to worry about this side, the other side, because once I get the windows laid out on this side, I'll have the spacing already done. So I don't have to, cut those out. I could if you want to, you can. But I won't need it. All right, so here's the other trick too, and I'm going to do this on this one, although I probably don't have to. I know this is kind of blurry because the camera's focused below the mat. That's how tight this lens is. What I'm going to do is I just flipped it over and I'm just going to kind of follow the cuts again with the blade to open those up a little bit. Myself a little bit of extra room there. Good. Now, I don't need that gray anymore, so I'm going to dump that out because I need black. So how's your week going? Everything going well? I hope so. Wednesday nights have really become a lot of fun for me. I look forward to just hanging out with the folks that joined the premiere. And if you're watching this after the fact and you haven't heard me say it yet, we premiere this video every week. So there's a new one every Wednesday night at 8. And I hang out in the comments with everyone. And what I like about it as opposed to the live feeds are kind of like I gotta do everything. I gotta work. I got to paint, got to work the cameras, do all that. But Wednesday nights I just hang out. So it's the same kind of thing. We get to, paint and stuff, but I don't have to actually do the painting because I've already done it. All right, I'm putting straight black in this now. I'm going to use the thinner black. Usually I use the lesser reduced black, the slightly thicker black to do this because it tends not to want to. The thicker paint doesn't go through these little lines and then spread out and makes a mess. So, but for this, I'm going to use the thinner black because I'm going to be using that anyway, and I'm going to be lazy about it and not want to clean the airbrush out. So, again, we're just going to make sure that building's lined up. I do care about the top. I am checking the top too, but really right now I'm just concentrating on making sure that the windows are, the buildings are lined up where I'm at. Oh, that's that. Yeah, there we go. And it's the same thing here, like I want to take my time here because if I throw these in and they're in the wrong spot, it's just as bad as like painting them in the wrong spot. And I'll still have to redo the whole thing, which is a drag. And that looks good right there. So we'll drop big old magnet boy on that, which you guys can't see because it's just off the top, but big old magnet boy. That's kind of close to the reference. Let me move this over so we're a little bit more here. That's better. Okay, good. And the nice thing is all this other stuff, which you can't see, it's under the palette cam, but all these little bits that I already cut out, they're all lined up, which is good. That means I did the right thing. One thing it might be worth noting too, like I have this is the other cutout that I use for all these black bits here. You would think that if I line that up, then this would be automatically right. But say I didn't, and this has happened because on the last episode I did this with the little blue roofs. I had those in a slightly wrong spot. So if I'm constantly going by cutouts that I've already used, it can get out of control really quick. It's always a good idea for me to recheck to make sure that I'm lined up where I should be by the item, not by the cutouts. But this one you can't see off the bottom where my pinky is right here, but there's another cutout down here that's also lined up. So I did a good job on this one, but it doesn't always happen. All right, same deal here. This is painting by faith. I can't see the paint going through here because it's so small. So I just got to do these passes really lightly and just keep them going and have faith that it's gonna go through and look dark enough. If I try to hammer this, I'll just make a mess underneath. And I don't need much. I just need enough to see where the windows are. And we're ready to go because this is going to produce a line that's thinner than the windows actually are. Yeah. Yeah, lovely. So, what do we got here? I feel like it's bumped over too far. Like it's too far to the left, which is okay. They're in the right spot going this way, going horizontally. I just have to extend them on one side and cut them off on the other, so that's fine. Let's start by cutting them off on that side. I got to keep an eye on the time because doing this kind of thing right now is the kind of thing that I end up losing track of time. I'll be like, yay, let's paint, and then it's 40 minutes in and I realize that I've blown over the 30-minute mark. If that does happen, and it really happens bad, which like I've never gone 10 minutes over, but if I ever do that, that episode will just be 40 minutes. I won't split that up because it's, well, editing wise, it's a nightmare. Not a nightmare, but it just takes a lot more work than just making the episode longer than it should be. This is a little too dark, but we're going to roll with it since I've already committed. Yeah, that's way too dark. Okay. And I really like, it's funny, every time I watch this with you guys or, go back to rewatch them after, a half an hour is like, it really feels like it needs to be an hour. Like it just seems to go so fast. But I'm going to resist with all my might to not make Open Studio an hour long. I really, like I said, it was important to me to have a half hour, a 30-minute video on the site. I've got the time-lapse ones, which are really nice and short. They're no longer than 10 minutes. And then we occasionally do live feeds, which can be as long as, an hour and a half. So I really wanted something that just pops in at that 30-minute mark and gives people who don't have a ton of time, enough content that they can just kind of hang out and watch, but they're not here all day. And they're a little bit more substance in the time lapse, which, like I said, are no longer than 10 minutes, but they generally range around 7 to 8 minutes. So 30 is perfect. All right, now these windows here, looks like, yeah, you can see the reference. So it looks like the black horizontals should be first, and then those gray verticals will cut across the black. And then what's left in between is the light color of the actual building. So it looks like there are, from what I can see, maybe like little decks or patios or something. I don't know. I can't tell. But anyway, there's definitely a lot. It's not just like windows stuck in the side of a building. There's something going on there. So we're gonna go with that way. And again, that's how I kind of figure it out. I look at like what's underneath all of it first, and that's the white of the building. Those horizontal, light gray lines for the building. And then the next thing are the black, and then on top of that are the gray. And so by doing that, I can just kind of like follow the same pattern and be ready to go. All right, this is small. I'm going to start with a line that's roughly twice the size of what's here. So I'm just going to take that line and thicken it up a little bit. And then, because I can always thicken it, it's harder to like go back in and thin it out. Because I'd have to just, repaint the spaces in between. Plus, I still need to put the windows in between each one as well. I think I'm going to put out new paint too, because I'm trying to get this done with chunky paint and it's not really flowing very well. Do I also want to switch brushes? There we go. Do I want to switch brushes? Let's try that. I have an older double lot that doesn't have the same forked tongue problem. So put a little bit more black. Fresh black. Ah, nice. Maybe. I don't know about this brush. We'll see. Yes, new paint is better. Yeah, see how I put that middle line in? And there's not a whole lot of room. All right, that didn't come out very well at all. These are super tight. These are really close together. Okay, I've got the building color up here, or close to it. So before I go too much farther, I'm going to clean this up. And, we just, a couple of weeks ago, we had the opening of the Area Artist Show at the Butler. And that was great. And I got to talk to a lot of people about, my art and stuff. And, the big question was always, how do you paint that small? And this, what I'm doing right now, is the real hallmark of that kind of painting. This kind of painting, this miniature painting. It's very rare that I just put something down and it's perfect. You know what I mean? There's a lot of back and forth, like, I put that in wrong, or, that line didn't come out quite right, so I have to fix it. There's a lot of that. And again, if you have your head around that, and if you enjoy that kind of tractor pull interaction with your work, then this stuff isn't a chore. It actually becomes fun. It's the challenge of it, like, I'm gonna get it. All right, I gotta shut up to do this. I know you're crushed. Better. The other thing too is, like, my first, actually, I'm going to go longer on this. I'm going to just clean this up. Well, I'll show you what I'm doing. So I'm going to push the ends of these windows out a little bit longer than they should be, and I'm going to clean them up with gray at the end, so it'll give them all a nice ending. My first impression, or my first instinct with these windows, were to make them thicker. So I said I was going to do them twice the size of the cut. They're not. These are not twice the size of the cut. So if I did them twice the size, there wouldn't be enough room, and I would have had to redo them. So again, there's a lot of back and forth. But on the Cincinnati painting, one of the biggest comments back and forth were like, oh my gosh, look at the windows. You know what I mean? And that was a really cool thing. You put this kind of bizarre effort into these paintings, and that's what people, kind of gravitate to. That's what they get. They're like, oh my gosh, there are all the windows there, So the effort isn't wasted, I guess, is the point of what I'm trying to say. And again, my goal is to not be like, oh my gosh, look at how small this is. What a great painting. I don't want that. I want that in reverse order. I want someone to say, wow, what a great painting. Oh my gosh, it's so small. That's what I want. Because, I want to avoid that gimmick, like the being small is the reason it's a good painting. I don't want that. Desperately don't want that. Some of these I am going to thicken up a little bit. But again, that's easier to just, go over these one more time and thicken them up a little bit than to have to go back into all the negative spaces and clean them all up again, Now this area, remember, down here is going to get that black, that airbrushing, so we're good. Now, I know those widen up a little bit as they go down, but I think I'm okay with that because there's going to be a lot of other stuff going on here. All right, since I've got this here, I might as well do the other side. So to do the other side, the side of the building here, because I like that. I'm happy with that spacing. First thing I want to do is I want to clean up this bank right here. So I'm going to grab that gray again. I shouldn't have moved the painting. This will work. So I'm going to grab this side, and I'm just going to run a line right up the side here. And I'll do the same thing on the other side, because I know there's black on the other side. There's like dark, but this will clean up all those windows real quick. Good. It came out kind of streaky on that side. I don't like that. Although there's windows here, I don't, well, actually, no, it's fine. There we go. So now what I'm doing, instead of like this brush, these brushes are great. So before, when I was painting the windows over here, I was just using the very end of the brush, the very, very tip of that brush. But if I want to like spread, paint out, these bristles are so soft because they're Kolinsky. They're like a sable brush. They aren't like a sable brush. They are a sable brush. When you push the brush down, that brush kind of just fans out and puts on the nicest wash. covers the whole thing. So that's good. Guys are kind of high. I should watch the camera more so I make sure we're centered, but at least you guys could see that. All right, so the other windows, no, they're fine. It looks like they happen in two. Oh dear. Okay, well, got to do it. So there looks like you can see it. They're like divided. There's definitely a patio there or something, and then the windows separated. So are they lined up though? Not really. They're a little bit ahead of it. Okay. Start at the bottom so I can see what I'm doing. And I want to get the angle down, so I'll just, it's like a golfer's swing, so I'll come up here and just kind of get that feeling in my hand on what that's supposed to be. And then I can just translate that down here, but while I was doing that, the paint dried out. Yay. All right, let's try that again. So again, a couple little practice passes up here to get that angle down. I know I'm running across the whole building. I'm going to take care of that in a second. Okay, so the other window, so it's easier for me to just do that than to, you know, than to kind of stop. I'm gonna have to clean up the end anyway. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just go back in and cut out that side, the side here. I'll show you what I'm doing in a second here. So I'm gonna kind of take some of that building off right there. It needs to be lighter now. Why is that? Oh, because I dug into an area on the palette where it was darker. I get it. I'm not overly worried about what's going on to the left of this building yet. You know, if I get paint out there, that's fine. Because, it's, you know, obviously I got to finish all the buildings over there anyway. What I'm really just watching is the edge of this building here. And that's lovely. Actually, a little bit more. Since we're here, brush kind of kicked out a little bit and blobbed. Oop. I want to do the opposite. There we go. Okay. So now those, how are we doing on time? 3 minutes. Good. Perfect. So now the other side, where those other windows are, I'm going to turn this all the way upside down. So these other windows here, they're a little bit more gray, so I'm going to use a, it's probably still too dark. Well, no, that'll be fine. Yeah, it looks good. So I'm going to make it dark gray, palette the brush out really well, and then I'm just going to put those other windows in just between all the others. Maybe a little bit more of an angle. Again, I'm not worried what's going on below the brush because that's going to have the buildings on the side behind it. There we go. Okay, good. Whew. Where are we? We're there. Okay, good. How's the roof on that look? A lot of greebles on the top. Oh, that kind of faded in. Huh. See how it scoops in at the bottom? That's not good. How did that happen? Okay, well, we gotta fix that. That's weird. So the building is sucked in at the bottom, which means I just gotta lengthen these windows a little bit. Yeah, and it's gonna be dark down there anyway too, so I don't have to go like absolutely nuts on it. Clean that up again. Yeah, I'm going to leave that. No, I'm not. Hold on. Hold it. I know we're running out of time, but I want. All right, here we go. We're going to run a little bit longer tonight, just so I can finish this building. I don't want to leave it halfway. All right, so I've got all the little windows there. They start to fade in there, so I'm going to clean those up again. There we go. That's better. Now this time I'm going to do it right side up so I don't have that same issue where it faded out. So now I can see what I'm doing a little bit better. I mean, it's all, you know, the angle that the brush needs to be at, is just why I flip it upside down like that. But making sure we're lined up is more important. And again, this is going to be all dark, so I don't have to be too careful on it. I just want to make sure it's straight. And that looks good. All right. We'll finish this building up next week. What time is it? We've only gone over 30 seconds. We're finishing this building now. So now how many are there? There's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 and then a break. All right. 4 and a break. I don't think this is long enough that I need the ruler for this, so we're just going to go for it. So the first one is a little bit in. I'm going to use the same gray, maybe lighten it up a little bit. Oh, I went through the palette. It's not ideal. I mean, I went through the paper, the parchment, because I worked one part of the parchment too much. All right. First one is here. This isn't opaque enough. Okay, so we're going to have to make it new. Crap. A little bit of white. I need it opaque. I need it to cover. Where that I had to thin it out enough to get it to flow, that it's not gonna cover. But it needs to cover. Remember, we're doing them in order. The black windows, horizontal black windows first, and then these. This looks good. Now I can thin this out a little bit. It's still fresh paint, so it's going to cover a lot better than that last one. Yeah. But it's also darker than that. Okay, a little bit darker. It's probably too much. Better. Okay, let's see what we got now. That's a win. 2, 3, 4, and then the last one's a lot longer. I don't know why, but it is. So there we go. Yeah, we'll finish the roof next time when we move on. So I think we're doing good now. Yeah, we're a couple minutes over, so that's good. All right, so here is the whole thing. That's how it looks. Coming along, another little tiny section done. What else we got? I think that's it. So you know what to do. Hit that like button for me. Subscribe. Become a member here. If you become a member here, you get a discount on my website, and you get to see the time-lapse video early. Usually I have it up before the weekend or during the weekend, so that's your bonus there. And then on Patreon, I'm working on a bunch of perks. That's one of my jobs to get that up to speed, but for now you get access to a special open studio over there, and also a discount as well on the website. So I hope you do that. That'd be great. Keeps the lights on here, and that's what I got. Okay, so for Steve Leahy and Through Lachlan's Eyes, I will catch you all next time. Thanks a lot.